so hard. At work, I just like hit like a massive wall at like, in the afternoon. Everyone has chocolate and snacks.
I wonder if I can go live with myself. I don't know. Hi! Hi, people on live.
Yeah? Just normal milk and normal tea?
Just getting up and running. More connection. Hi, Colin. Nice to meet you. Cool, I think I'll just get started then. There's a few more people around. Hi everyone on live. So I'm going to be doing a drag demo just the way I do my face, but it's going to be very casual. So just ask me questions as we go. I'll try and explain what I'm doing. And we'll have this video for posterity, so you can use this as well to try it along later. I'm a sort of graduate from CBMA. I did the full course here, but I had to drop out 3 weeks before we finished because I got on Drag Race. So decisions were made. Yeah. But anyway, I've been doing drag for about 10 years, and this is the way that I've learned that works best for me to do my makeup. So, and yeah, as I said, please just ask questions as we go if anything's feeling unclear. And likewise on the live, if you're watching, getting my brows ready, which is just a bit of IPA on a cotton pad, and I'm just going to clean off my eyebrows so that there's no kind of oils or moisturizer or anything else on there, so that they're... And that'll dry really fast. While that's drying, I'm just going to put some primer on my face. I actually hate this primer, so don't use it. But it's what I've got. You can also just use a moisturizer.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I always put sunscreen down before my makeup, but I've heard that sunscreen affects the longevity of makeup. Do you find it, or
I'm really bad at wearing sunscreen. I've got like a primer that's got 10 SPF in it, and that's what I use. And that's fine because it's not super thick, and it doesn't have that kind of cakey sunscreen. I don't know. I've never tried with like a 50 underneath. I think probably you should though if you're like filming in the sun or if you're out in drag. But I'm really bad at my own skincare. Like I take really bad care of myself. So that's going to be a running theme today. Drag queens are disgusting creatures who don't take good care of themselves.
The skin looks really good.
Oh, well, so I'm gonna start blocking my eyebrows. Spoolie and some Elmer's glue stick. Is this what you all used in the course? Right. I like these small ones because you can get really precise. They do fatter ones as well. But I usually just buy like a 10-pack of these in really vigorously into the eyebrow, and I'm kind of going back and forth and like little swirling motions with the first layer, and it's just trying to really work the glue like right down into the base of the hairs, and while it's still wet, grab a spoolie and then scrape really hard upwards and at an angle. If you don't have a spoolie, you can use a butter knife for this. It's kind of got the same sort of ridges. And the direction of this really matters, and you just have to kind of trust your own... Hi there.
Hi, sorry.
It's okay.
I got so lost.
You just have to trust your own... In my case, it's kind of an angle like this, that they'll lay the flattest. some people try and make them go straight up, and actually the hairs don't want to go in that direction. So just find the angle that works for you. And for me, it's kind of go like that. And that's how you get them the flattest. And that's already pretty laid down. We'll do the same on the other side, just really vigorous, back and forth, little swirls, just to get a lot of glue down on that first layer. We're gonna do 4 layers in total. So, but this is the one that has the most glue on it. This is a fresh spoolie, and actually, they don't work as well when they're fresh because they're too soft. Once they've got a bit of glue built up on them, and that's the case with a lot of things. Sometimes just like a nice crust of makeup on something actually makes it work a bit better. And then on that first layer, you can only do this on yourself. Obviously, if you're working on someone else, you can't do this. But I lick my finger and smooth out that first layer because that just gets rid of the ridges that you've kind of etched in with this.
So do you use it more?
Yeah, or just don't do it. Because it's not essential. It tends to get the most glue around your face as well, so sometimes this is when I clean off, because the rest of them, you can be a bit more controlled. And while that's drying, I'll do another primer layer, this is for like really greasy areas of my face. It's an eyeshadow base, so it's kind of designed to stop grease from coming through your lids, and it's really good on my nose because I get a greasy nose. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience where like an oil-based foundation won't sit and it's kind of popping off as you sweat. This kind of stops that. Especially on hot days, this is really, really useful. You don't need very much at all.
What's the primer?
This is just Kiko. It's an eyeshadow base. I think basically any eyeshadow primer will do because they're all kind of designed for that effect. And if I can tell it's gonna be a really hot day, or I'm sweaty, or it's warm where I'm getting ready, I might do here too. Before I had a mustache, I would do my upper lip as well. But the mustache hides a lot of sins. I'll do the lids as well. I don't use my fingers for very much in brush if you were doing this on someone else. Okay. I've also got my powders ready. So I've got like a white translucent powder here. That's what I'm going to use for my brow cover. And then I've got like kind of banana powder, translucent powder for my face. Just because if you just use white, you might end up a little bit grayer. And these aren't quite ready. The other thing I'm going to glue down as I go is my sideburns, and that's going to give me a bit more real estate. This really depends on the hairstyle of the person that you're doing drag on. If they've got long hair, then this glue stick is nearly done. Obviously you can't really do this. Although I have seen people scrape their hair back and then glue this part. I think it looks kind of insane, but I've never tried it. Okay, so we can do the second layer now. So the second layer, instead of doing all of this back and forth and swirly, we're just following the direction of that first layer of glue. We're just reinforcing the direction of the hairs. And that's going to be kind of the whenever we put makeup on this area, we're going to try and not mess up our brow cover. So when we're doing eyeshadow, we're going to be sensitive of the brow cover. When we're doing anything else. So we'll just let that dry. So far, is this kind of how you did it? Yeah.
Yeah. He's a bit like a lighter hand.
Right. I guess it really also depends on how thick the brows are that you're covering. Might be overkill for someone with thinner brows. Again, this is kind of just what I've figured out works for me. One other tip I've got is sometimes you get spiky hairs here and it will lift up the brow cover. Like the glue will kind of stick out because these are the hairs right here that tend to want to go this way the most and they want to lie flat the least. So I tend to tweeze those hairs out, and you can do that if you're working on someone else. No one will ever notice, but it becomes much more visible once there's glue and foundation, and then there's little holes, and it's like right next to your eyeball, which is where you're always looking at someone anyway. So that can be really annoying.
Have you ever used Prosade glue on your eyebrows?
Yeah.
How did you find, because we got taught that at one point for, during theatre. Have you found that's a good technique as well?
It off, but I have tried it before when I was like doing, say, a pride parade, and I know I was going to be outside in the sun for hours and hours and hours because sweat doesn't come through it. It's pretty like indestructible. I do find it's harder to get like a really smooth finish, so you're kind of sacrificing a bit of perfection for a longer lasting effect. Now I tend to just not bother. I can't, but I guess also like I don't know if there was some occasion where you were going to do drag and they were going to get really wet.
Yeah.
That could be a good idea there as well. But I haven't experimented with it loads since I first started. It used to be something with 20 minutes getting your eyebrow cover off. It's just like, who's got the time? Okay, so these are just about dry. So I'm going to do the third layer, and after the third layer, I'm going to powder. And so lots of pressed powder on a puffly, pack it in. Up and down, not side to side. Just to make sure you're not moving any of the glue or moving any of the hairs. Boom. Grab a different glue stick. I can't remember how many layers I did here, but it doesn't matter quite so much. And these hairs tend to want to lay down much easier because you're working with gravity. It's the direction they're already growing. And they're not as coarse or spiky as your eyebrow hairs.
So you're keeping the moustache in.
It is theoretically possible to cover a mustache, but I haven't tried, and I think
I saw someone try to do it.
Yeah, it's probably the kind of thing that, like, if you were doing it on stage, if you really had to, you might get away with it from like a far distance. But
it's so thick, isn't it?
yeah, it's not the right hair really for that. It keeps pausing the connection. I'm not really sure what to do about that. So you can see these little dots. That's kind of probably where the glue was a bit clumpy, but anyway, we're going to sort that out with the final layer. We'll just let this dry a bit. It really does have to be this glue, the Elmer's purple. I've tried other glues and nothing else works. I don't know why, but just don't bother. Make sure you've always got like a stack of these. So again, I'm just going to follow the direction of the hairs and do one last layer of glue. I've already dusted off the excess powder, and one more layer of powder. Great, it's pretty good. Okay. So now I'm going to start my foundation. Obviously, if you're working on something else, you're going to need a lot more, so you've got all the options, but you want something that's kind of skin tone, kind of neck tone, something lighter for a highlight, something white, or some people go crazy and will use like 7 shades of foundation, but I think that's kind of overkill. I have kind of a weird order I do this in, so I tend to start here with this highlight. And you can see when I put this on, I'm always following the same direction as the hairs that I've laid down. I don't know why I start with there, but I do. And now I'm gonna go with my base. Sometimes you'll see people put their base color all over their face and then they'll put their highlighter on top of that. That's where you want them to be, rather than having to fight with things. I mean, mustache excluded, but you don't want to be trying to cover up hair bristles, so make sure your model is shaven that morning.
I know I missed the beginning, but was there like moisturizer, press, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I just put on a primer and I cleaned my eyebrows with some IPA, and that's it. And now I'm gonna grab a beauty blender and I'll put this base in.
So you don't color correct your eyebrows?
I don't.
Do you? Because when we did it, I always noticed that we used D32 for the Dermacolor, and I always found that it bled through. So I don't like color correcting them.
I think color correcting might be a scam.
It's a myth.
I don't know. Whenever I've done it, I've never seen a benefit.
Are you using the Kryo?
Yeah, I am using Krylon paint sticks. They're so thick that I think you kind of...
Can pass it out.
Yeah, and so maybe if you were using like a lighter...
Yeah.
liquid... I went through a phase of doing it just because it was what I thought you had to do. And I really
No, I agree.
couldn't see a difference, yeah. Someone somewhere was like, I think I figured out a new thing to sell people. But these paint sticks are really good, especially like this. You can still see the tiniest bit of blue coming through. Sometimes I use like a paint stick for my beard area where I need it really thick, and then I'll use a liquid foundation here. But then you've got to get a good match and carry around an extra product, etc., etc. So it's kind of how much you can be bothered with. And like, you'll see by the end, nothing is going to look natural, so it kind of doesn't matter if you've got like really good skin. It's kind of not the point of what we're doing here today. I do use like a few beauty blenders. Like I'll have one that's got my base color on it and one that's for my highlight, and then a different part or a different one for my contour. And that helps you kind of keep the colors from getting muddy or putting product where you don't want it.
Do you wet them first, or do you just use them dry?
I washed these last night and they're like the tiniest bit damp, but like you wouldn't want it more than that.
Okay.
So that's the second lighter tone, like
Yeah, this is my, that's
from the skin tone.
Yeah, that's my like contour. So you just need like, actually just broke my favorite brush, but it doesn't really matter. Just something you can get a bit of precision on. My theory with contour is, I mean, it really depends on your face shape. So you can do this trick and see where your hollow is. Something like a line from the top of your ear to the corner of your mouth. And how harsh you want to make it really just depends on the kind of look that you'll get at the end, like how draggy you want it to be. If you want it to be more natural or more extreme. I tend to go quite extreme, and I've actually started lately starting more at the temple and kind of following a curve down to the corner of my mouth. But a good way to start is doing a triangle that's the tiniest point here and goes from the corner of your ear. It's kind of a triangle shape, but you'll figure out what works for you. I mean, I would always recommend, don't expect to get it perfect the first time. Do it once when it's lower stakes, because you'll figure out so much about someone's face by just painting it and realizing what looks good. I've got the benefit of having done this on my own face hundreds of times, so it's a lot to ask you to get that on a new person straight away. Those are kind of even, and I'm gonna do some temple contour. And depending on the face that you're working on, you might contour the chin if it's a really big chin, or you might contour out some of the jaw. I don't like to do that on myself.
So you've got a great jawline, that's fine.
I already got a perfect jawline. It's one of my struggles. So I'm gonna blend this. I am trying to... So it's gonna give you that kind of sharp angle. Is there AC here? Fans? Would you mind popping a fan on for me?
The Dyson one there. Oh, is it a Dyson? Is that the back?
I can just feel the sweat trying to escape through this makeup. Thank you so much. Oh, it's a real production. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So that primer I put down on my nose is already doing a lot of work, because I can feel myself getting sweaty, but it's gone on really nicely.
You can see the texture's so smooth.
Yeah, it can be a bit drying, so you do want to use very little. Foundation looks kind of flaky as well on top, so it is kind of a less is more situation. And then you can just move between your sponges or the size of the sponges that you're using and kind of blend between the three. So you got the 3 shades of brown. And yeah, you can see how I've blended it. So it's kind of, it's diffused above the contour edge, and I'm going to enhance that even more with a highlight here. This is a real like caricature of a feminine face. It's not, but like once you start doing this, you will like on the tube see someone with cheekbones like this and be like, oh, that's why we do this. Or like, you ever see once you start doing makeup, you ever see someone, you're like, wow, look at their crease, look at their cut. You see these things that we're emulating with drag or with makeup out in the wild. Can this go any higher? There's a number on there that seems to be increasing, so that's good. Oh, wow. Great. Yeah.
Another one as well.
No, that's good. That'll sort me out. You can see where, like, that's from getting ready when you're sweating. It's like summertime drag is the worst.
Lucky it's not warm in this country very often.
I know, but somehow you're always getting ready in an attic when it is warm. Like somehow that will be your situation. Okay, so I'm gonna start mapping out where I'm gonna put my white stick. This is gonna be the only place I really use white, is around the eye area. And I actually just draw it in with the paint stick. I like doing it this way because you can kind of map out the placement. And what I'm doing is basically drawing the underside of my new eyebrow line. A good rule of thumb with drag eyebrows is that they should start where the natural eyebrow starts, and then you can go to town. You can go as high as you want. It's look more natural if they start where your eyebrows actually are, and then they go from there. If you start, I mean, I think that's such a typical thing of like a baby drag queen, is their eyebrows start here, and they just kind of look permanently surprised. It can work, but yeah, it tends to look a bit novice, I think.
Like quite a lot of people who do drag, they will shave that because they can't be bothered doing that.
Yeah, but then you have to not have any eyebrows.
You have to live like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I care too much about. Maybe I'm not committed enough to my art.
Yeah. If anything, you're more committed because you're blocking your brows.
That's true.
Diligently.
That's true.
Every time.
Well, some people think you shouldn't have a mustache and drag, and that it's lazy because you're.
No, I love a mustache.
There's many schools of thought.
And that's why Drag Race is so entertaining.
Yeah. So we've got kind of now the underside of my eyebrows drawn in, and like even on the screen or from a distance, it almost kind of looks like I've got eyebrows because your brain kind of fills in that shape. So now it's just a case of drawing some in above that line, and I'm using this as kind of a stencil. And the nice thing about doing all of this when it's still wet and with creams is that you can change your mind or fix things if you get something wrong.
How would you remove that if you messed up?
So I would just take like a thin brush and some white. Yeah. I have another request. Maybe a hand mirror of some kind? Just so I can get a bit closer to my... Here.
I've only got a tiny one.
Okay. Oh yeah, that looks good. Thank you. Perfect.
With drag, do you find that doesn't matter because it's so like exaggerated? You can just kind of use any like dark colour.
Yeah, and also because I'm gonna powder over it and then reset it, it's and also like it's gonna blend in with bronzer I'm going to use as well. I guess probably technically that this should be, yeah, more of a cooler tone, but yeah, I think also when you get so much powder on your face, you end up looking quite gray or ashy anyway, and so it's almost a challenge to keep the warmth in the face.
Okay.
And so maybe that's why I've ended up doing it that way. But I haven't really thought about it from a theoretical point of view. Hi there. No worries. So, the saying is sisters, not twins. I think that's kind of where we're at. I hadn't really planned to do a really thick eyebrow today, but you can just go in and correct little bits with your white cream. Sharpen up any lines. Probably end up doing them black when it's time to put powders on, but again, this is just giving me the shape that I'll have later. I'm also just going to soften this front edge, kind of give it a bit of an ombre look, just with my highlight shade, very, very gently, so I'm not moving around too much of the contour color.
Do you do drag on other people?
Yeah, I have done, but not so often. When they pay. Okay, and so I'll finish off my highlights now. So bridge of the nose, and obviously under eye area. It's quite common, I think, for people to overdo it on the highlight, and then the highlight just becomes everything. So I try and keep it quite positioned just where I want it, and then inevitably it spreads a bit, but one trick to make the nose a bit skinnier is bringing the highlight up onto the side of the nose. Blend this in on the bridge as well a bit. And then you can go back and transition back and forth between. Also blend out this edge of okay. I'm gonna pop a bit of white right in my, I like white here because it just makes a nice base for eyeshadow, so especially if you're using kind of vibrant colors, it means they're really gonna pop. You're not gonna see much of this white by the time I'm done, but it's a really good base. And finally, I think, is nose contour. This contour shade is too dark for the nose, I find. So I tend to mix it with my base. And the theory here is another triangle, but tapering down the nose. And some people will just do this with powders, but again, I like this because it means if you make a mistake, you can still fix it with cream. Nothing's set in place yet. Okay. So the nose contour is kind of following, oh, it's a bit crooked, I'm going to fix it. But it's following the same principle as this contour line, which has got, it's got a sharp line with our eyeshadow. Sharp line blends away. And that just helps give the illusion that we're trying to create. In this case, a very skinny nose. So what's making this look crooked? You ever seen those illusions that people do with nose contours where it's like, it makes your nose look totally twisted? It's so amazing. They're so effective. Drag is very much a trust the process sort of thing. Like, you look absolutely insane for almost the entire way until it's done. And then suddenly it just kind of all pops into place. Or the delusion takes hold. I'm not sure which.
When did you first start doing drag?
In like 2013, 2014, something like that. But like, you will look so busted for so long at your house. Which is kind of a beautiful thing.
You mean when like your makeup skills aren't as strong when you're a baby?
Yeah, and you look like, oh, you look like a hot mess, but you're having so much fun, you're feeling it. It doesn't matter.
I guess for us it's like when you're like 11, 12 and you're just like starting experimenting with makeup.
Yeah.
No, I did anyway, my eyebrows. It's so bad.
What have I forgotten? Maybe just a bit of highlight here. I think we're kind of ready to powder. So that's the cream bases. That's like me setting out the new shape of my face. And now I'm just going to powder the hell out of it. So I'm just using like a translucent powder, but one that's got a bit of yellow to it. In the face, you're up and down. Never side to side. And making sure you've always got a decent amount of powder on the puff so that you don't transfer, you know, your eyebrow up here. This is going a bit crazy because of the fan, but And then, so once you've powdered everything, you can go back over and bake the highlight points. A load of powder here, and this will catch any fallout when I'm doing my eye makeup. So if powder falls, it's not going to ruin your base, because you can just dust it all away. I look insane.
Yeah, do you ever have a moment where you're like, what am I doing?
Not anymore, but like, yeah, back in the day for sure. Like, how is this possibly going to work out? Great. That should all be pretty set. So we can move on to eyes. Obviously we're just trying to make our eyes look way bigger than they are. You can see where my crease a centimeter or so higher. Gonna do a giant wing, and we'll play with some colors. This is the way I'm doing my makeup lately. There are so many ways to do drag eye makeup. So, I mean, you'll have seen them online. But I like, and again, I'm just gonna kind of set out the new shape. So I'll start in the corner and I'll start drawing a big wing. It's kind of squared off at the top and really angled at the side. And I'll draw a new crease. I'm going to use this mirror for that. Would you mind turning that down for me now? I'm so sorry. I think it's just the... Yeah, sure, let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to use this black cream gel liner to draw my new crease. Kind of following the shape of my existing crease and drawing in a new line. It's going to fade away to nothing, but it's going above my winged liner. Those aren't maybe entirely even, but does this make any sense right now?
Yeah.
Once we start putting in colors, it will make a lot more. Just gonna fill in this wing. This is just a Krylon gel liner. They're really good because they don't budge once they set. They really stick around. So this is great for like a liner with, and they set pretty fast, so kind of have to get them on before they start going on really chunky. So this one's already kind of set because of the fan. I mean, makeup behaves so differently in different temperatures, different times of year. Okay. So that's kind of the structure, and now I can start using colors to cut. For that, I was just using like the thinnest angle brush I could find. And now I'm gonna move into kind of eyeshadow brushes, so fluffy brushes. And I'm gonna build out from like really focused, kind of domed, fluffy brush into bigger and bigger fluffy brushes as I move through the color spectrum. We'll do like eyeshadow brush and black, and that's gonna start deepening the color of the crease. I'm just trying to put this right basically where I've put the gel liner. This is also good to like re-blacken this liner because when it mixes with the powder, it gets a bit less black. So this is a good way to kind of re-blacken that. And again, the same theory is gonna apply on my eye crease as it does here, where I'm gonna try and keep it really sharp on the eye side and blend it away on the other side. So I'm gonna do pink today, so I'm gonna use kind of 3 colors of pink, and I'll start with the darkest pink. I think it might be a no for me. Let's see.
It really starts to come together when you put the colour on here.
Yeah, it makes such a difference.
What colours do you usually find yourself going for?
I basically do pink or blue.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll do a nude. Also depends what I'm wearing, like maybe try and match. But sometimes you've got like 4 costume changes. But I think the color is kind of the funnest part to play with, and you can just, there's so much room to try different things.
Do you normally stick to just like one colour but different like shades in the colour?
Yeah, I think that tends to give you like the most cohesive look, but you can also do a complementary look. I'll show you as we kind of get into it. But this way you get darkest to lightest.
I'm going to stop blending my eyeshadow into my eyeliner like that.
But we could totally transition to like yellow now, or an orange. Just here, because this is the kind of brightest part of the eye. So whether that's fading to white or to like the lightest pink or whatever color you end up going for, you want where your crease meets your eye to be the brightest. Why don't we try yellow? Why don't we go crazy? I'll pop some orange now. I'm not totally convinced about these eyeshadows. I gotta be honest. Sorry, Crown Pro.
Not as pigmented as yours.
I don't think so. Let's see. This is Be Perfect. They are, I mean, you can see how much I've used this palette. It's disgusting. They do have a lot of fallout. Like, I think that's one of the things you end up trading off when there's to have a lot of fallout. So that's why it's important to have some powder here so you can catch it. And then we'll just blend between.
Yeah.
It's such a satisfying color combination. I just constantly back and forth, different brushes, different shades, over the top of each other, blending between. This part is obviously on top of where my eyebrows are, so I'm being really gentle. So I don't mess up the eyebrows. You can already now see how the new eye shape is kind of taking effect. That's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go back with the gel liner now. Upper waterline. Starting right in the corner. This is really gonna make it all kind of come together. Right down to the lash. I'm also just going to go back over this black, just constantly trying to get it blacker and blacker.
So good.
It's like I'm right on the waterline in the corner of my eye. It's thin at that point, and it gets thickest right at the center of my eyeball. And then just carries on to meet the liner. I just drew on my eyeball.
How long do you normally give yourself to do like a full face without the hair?
About an hour and a half. Kind of depends, like, I usually want to arrive at a venue like 3 hours before I need to be ready. And that's, you know, giving you time to have a chat, not be stressed. If I had to get ready, like fully ready in an hour and a half, I could. Probably done it in 45. So you can see I'm going back on that black line I put in before just to make sure it's really sharp. I mean, this is a really cartoony sort of look. there's lots of ways to do drag and have it be much more of a natural thing. That's kind of not what I'm here for. Okay. Now do the under eyeliner. Again, this is so personal preference, but you find a shape that you like or that works for you or that suits the kind of character you're trying to make. I tend to like it to be quite thick and dark on the outer corner and then quite a dramatic under eye line. I'm going to marry that with a wing on the inner corner. See how much that opens up the whole eye. And I'm getting right into the waterline, like above my eyelashes. There's always one side you like better. It's just the law. And now we will use the white gel liner. Oh God, what a mess. And another sharp angled brush, or just really thin brush. This would probably work. And I'm going to kind of continue that sort of cartoony look. I'm going to trace in here. This is the part when people get really blinky if you're doing it on someone else. So you're like right on their waterline. I'm gonna also reuse it underneath this black line, and it's ideally going to make that crease even more dramatic. Looking pretty good. Maybe I'll pop a bit of orange up here to kind of tie it in a bit with the colors that are going on. Cool. That's looking pretty good. I can do some. So I'm gonna put a few colors of glitter down kind of in the same place that I've got the colored shadows. These are a mix of 3 different Krylon glitters. They've got 3 sizes in the same colors. So I mix all 3 together. You get like a really great depth. And I also just use the Krylon multi-gel, just this here. I love this stuff. It's just like, it goes on really liquidy. So you kind of just paint it over the lid like a gloss, like you would on a lip. Wherever you want your glitter. So, okay, and are you ready for this? So nice. And I've got some like kind of pinky orange here. I'll put that where I've got the pinky and the orange is meeting. Yeah. So good.
Sorry, what did you put down the glossy stuff underneath the glitter?
What did it?
To make it stick, what did you put under?
So it's this. It's called multi-gel.
Okay.
It's great for a lid. You can also use it on your lips and then put glitter on with that. Yeah.
Because the pink one's kind of got like a yellowy.
Yeah, the pink has, it's kind of like an orangey pink.
Yeah.
They don't do a pink, but it is so over like an orangey pink. It's very good. At this point, you're probably gonna start being tempted to, oh, I should put some glitter on this part too. But because we're trying to make this look like it's a shadow, if you put glitter here, it's going to reflect the light, and instead of looking sunken at this black line, it will come forward, and it kind of ruins the illusion, in my opinion. There's probably a way to do it, but I prefer to have it on the part that you're trying to bring forward, which is here, and then leave this just as matte shadows. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Creating depth, aren't you, with those different textures?
Yeah.
It's becoming really 3D.
Yeah. But it's, you're so, once you start putting glitter on eyeshadows, you're like, oh, and what about here, and what about here? Yeah, and it you can get really like excited by it, and every time I do it, I'm like, I should have just kept it here. So that is what I've learned. I'm gonna just marry the shadow colors that I've done above a bit here, so that story continues. And it's the same thing here. I've often put glitter here and then regretted it. So this is supposed to be a sunken area. You can just see how many different shapes you can create. Make yourself look like really sad. You could do a big droopy under eye here and do the exact same process, a sad clown. You can do any kind of shapes here. You could do like a 20s sort of eye shape. This is like, I guess, a classic drag cut crease. But there's so many shapes you can make. You can do like multiple cut creases. Like I could do like zigzags. You could do a super big arch. It's really just about personal preference, but this is what I like to do. So we'll do a bit of mascara now. I always do this last because your lashes end up covered in glitter and shadows. This is a good way to kind of sweep that off and also just blacken them up. It doesn't need to be pretty because we're going to put giant eyelashes on. It's just about getting it black. And on the lower lashes, only mascara the part where you've got black. So obviously don't go in mascara the part where you've tried to open it up and you've got the white, or it will ruin what you've done. And then and right here, I have to kind of do half the lash. So you don't have white lashes coming onto the black and you don't have black mascara going onto the white.
What mascara is that?
It's just a MAC, I think. Yeah. I think all mascara for this purpose is pretty much created equal. It doesn't matter as long as it's black. I think if you're like looking for something to look nice in the day, sure, it matters.
Yeah.
But that's looking pretty good. I think this is looking still a little bit not as black as I might like, so I might just grab like a eyeliner illustrator pen. Because it's such like a broad surface and it doesn't need a lot of precision. We can just try and blacken it up.
It's crazy how much the eyebrows have like completely disappeared.
Yeah, right?
It's from blocking, but like the rest of the makeup over top.
Yeah, they looked... But also, like, do you remember how kind of intense these looked before? And now the new brows, they're like, are they even there anymore? Because there's so much else. That you think could be a bit blacker, or even here, like I've got some glitter now falling onto my line. Cool. Kind of made a little mistake there, but we'll live with it. It's important to remember to do this after you've covered yourself with this gel liner because it's so transferable, and if you get it on yourself, it's not coming off. But yeah, you can see how well this is set, even it's just... Okay, so now I can dust off all the setting powder that's left, whatever's left from the fan. And also if there'd been any fallout here, get rid of that. now I can go and blush. So I've just got like a bronzer. I'm just gonna go over that line, just punch up the color. Do you see what I mean about how it's all gotten quite ashy? So
Just thinking
I like to use this kind of warm bronzer just to bring a bit of life back into the face, so you don't look quite so dead and powdery. But blush is going to do a lot of that.
Like powder, or the powder was translucent, I can't remember.
For this part?
No, earlier when you
Yeah, it
powdered
was.
your whole face.
Yeah, it's translucent, but it's got a bit of yellow in it.
So it's not as ashy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also know people who will like, just like, who's got the time? That's like probably what Raven does. I've seen her and she's got like 8 paint sticks.
Wow.
And so she's like moving between 8 shades on her face. Yeah. Yeah. It's not too bad. They've retired them. Well,
They're really good.
yeah, they're so good. I mean, they're actually terrible for regular people. As a blush, I'll start with like the lighter one. I think it makes it come alive so much.
Yeah, that really added too much.
Yeah. Following that contour line. I mean, again, it's up to you how you want your blush look to be. There's lots of different ways. We could connect it into this eyeshadow, or we can keep it separate. But then I'll kind of squeeze the brush and I'll go with a slightly darker shade. And then even I'll go with this dark one, and it's kind of doing a contour with blush.
Just loving drag how more is more. Like,
Yeah.
it's so different to like, especially like the makeup trend
Yeah.
currently,
No,
and I think
makeup.
it like really helps develop your kind of skills.
Totally. It's like blowing up all of the techniques that you do in normal makeup you're trying to do with regular makeup, but because it's just on such a larger scale.
And I can get so bogged down in like perfection and
Yeah.
like this is just so playful and like I think a really good exercise that everyone should probably.
Yeah. It's just fun. I tell you though, like when I've done these masterclasses before, everyone would go and do it on themselves after, and people get so hard on themselves, and it's just like you just can't expect yourself to be great at this straight away. I've had so much practice.
Also, if you've been going your whole life with like regular makeup, not drag, you're gonna come at it from almost the wrong approach.
Totally. Actually given to me by this by CBMA. I think I don't actually even know what the brand is. It's just bright. I mean, you could use the eyeshadows I was using. It's just hard to get a blush brush into. Yeah, they branded it, but it's Mac Pro maybe.
Oh, okay, cute.
Yeah. Cool, and we'll do some highlighter. Just on the high point. And sometimes I'll do 2 colors of highlighter. So I've got kind of the one, and then at the very highest point, I'll put a brighter one. Right on the tip of the cheekbone. Sharp. Maybe we'll do some highlighter here. Oh, I still need to do my eyebrows. On the brow bone. It's a nice place to add some light. I mean, the powder on is a great idea, just to bring, again, life back to the face.
How do you touch up your drag makeup throughout the day? Do you just not touch it? Just
Yeah,
place it?
try not to touch your face is like the first thing, and then I don't know, if you get really sweaty, you can like you can take off a part and reapply foundation powder. Eye makeup is kind of hard to fix, but you can re-darken your liner. And obviously you can redo your lips really easily, but some of it you kind of just have to live with. You can't fix your eyebrows. If your eyebrows start to come through, like,
Yeah.
the best you could do is whack a load of glitter on top and hope that trying to create a dark part and a brought forward part, just cover it in glitter and hope for the best. Just going over this nose contour too. And I'm gonna use the gel liner one last time for my new eyebrows. Again, I'm using that angled brush. And then fill in the rest. But I've got
Some people ever just leave the brow like without adding the blush on top.
Yeah. I think because because this is so dark and like graphic and bold, I think it kind of needs the brows to sort of match. I think if you were doing a more natural look, then yeah, you might just, like, artists don't even change, just use their natural brows, and they might just try and sharpen them up. Or a lot of people also will leave the front half of their brows unblocked. So that gives you a really natural look here, and then they'll block the second half and then arch in from there. I feel like this dark brow works better with the really dark liner. Otherwise it's kind of like, they're kind of different on different faces. But I like that because I've had, take care. Because I've started with that brown underneath, I've kind of got that ombre sort of thing happening already. And then I just like having a couple hairs drawn in because it's kind of cartoony. What am I missing? What am I missing? Some lips. Lips and lashes. So that you can keep kind of eating and drinking till the last second. And lashes are really uncomfortable, so I like to put those on as the last thing. So lips, I've just got like a lip pencil. I tend to pick like quite a dark lip pencil, and then I'll go for a lighter shade of lipstick, and that kind of again gives us that ombre sort of thing. Start in the outer corners.
Do you overline?
I do, yeah. But the general rule is that you respect the width of your lips, and then you can go as much over and under as you want. But if you go wide, you'll get a clown mouth. But it can tolerate a lot of over and under. So before I had a mustache, I used to draw it about halfway between my nose and my lip. There isn't really my upper lip. So I just kind of nod at it. I use this pencil to kind of fill in the outer edges. And then we can fill in with lipstick. And then I'll go back and forth and just kind of blend the two together, just creating an ombre. And if you want it to be even more dramatic, you could use a black pencil, and I would put that right in the outer corners. And you can make them look even more 3D by taking your highlight shade and bringing forward the parts where it would be the most proud. So I would normally do it here and here. Just adds to the kind of cartooniness of it all. I'm also going to put some black shadow on my mustache, again, because that's gotten quite powdery and everything else is so bold.
Do you ever powder your lips to make that stay?
I know people who put eyeshadow on their lips. I think it would crack and maybe just look really powdery, which might not look that nice. It's such an easy thing to reapply as well. But always get a drag queen a straw. And maybe a bit of gloss, just in the high point. Cool. Okay, so I've got these lashes. They're from Eldora. They're the 804s. They're like the second biggest ones they make. And there's two pairs there that I've glued together. I love these. I love a big lash. For glue, I use Copydex, which is like a craft adhesive. It's a rubber adhesive.
Is it safe?
It's probably not
Oh my god.
supposed to be used for eyes, but I have been using it for 10 years.
Okay.
And
You're still
and I'm still here. It's not like a hard glue, latex sort of vibe. And what's nice about it is that it just peels right off, and it peels off the eyelashes as well. So you get more wear out of them instead of just adding more and more glue on top of the lash, and it just gets thicker and thicker and thicker. You can kind of peel off this layer of glue and then go in fresh with the next one. So you get more wear out of these. These lashes are like 15 pounds a pair. So this is like 30 pounds of eyelashes on my face. And it's really annoying when you have to throw them away.
How long do you find they last? Like how many episodes?
Sometimes you might get like 20, 30 wears, and sometimes you get 3. Sometimes you peel off the glue and it rips it in half.
Okay.
So it's just sad. It happens. It actually happened this morning, and they're kind of Frankensteined together now. But I've probably had these for probably been using them for 3 months.
Wow. So
Yeah. And if you were using a regular duo, it would it would work just as well, but yeah, you're not going to be able to get that glue off at the end of the show. So you're just putting another layer of glue on, and they get so sharp because the glue dries. And it's like putting this really stabby thing on your eye. This keeps them a little bit more comfortable. With copy decks, you just want to let it get tacky. It's probably the same amount of time really as Duo. I try and get it really close to my lash line on the inner corner, and then kind of going away from your eye at an angle the same way that your liner does.
Okay, cool. Copy decks is also frequently used to apply false eyelashes in the theatre. To make sure they stay on.
Okay.
It does have that look to it. Does it smell like liquid latex?
Yeah, it's stinky. It kind of smells like fish.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. It's just a bit concerning because it does say like carpets.
You should like sponsor them and then just like add lashes in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think they know, it's one of those things that they definitely know what people are doing with it, but they can't encourage it. Boom. What I like about these lashes is that they're not just like one width the whole way around, like they're a bit thinner in here and they're wider at the outer corner, so it really just suits this kind of makeup. They're enormous, obviously, but the eye that I've drawn on is also enormous, so it all kind of works. You wouldn't put these on if you were doing like a more natural sort of drag look, but this hasn't worked. I let it dry too much.
No, be used to them.
When they first go on, it's fine, but like by the end of the night, they're pretty uncomfortable. They just get kind of stabby. It's usually the thing I'm most excited to take off. Corset and eyelashes.
Not heels.
Heels are normally already off. Like if I'm DJing or something, there's no way I'm staying in those all night. I'll be barefoot behind the decks. It does dry clear, but sometimes if it's a bit clumpy, you can get little white patches, so then you can just go over that again with your liner pen.
Cool.
Maybe it's because of the fan, actually.
The way that they're heavy enough that they can just rest on.
I know.
Just stuck down.
Yeah. Gross. This has not gone very well today, folks. I think these ones might be done. It's time for a new pair. If you struggle with precision, there we go. Oh, and I'll put some bottom ones on too. So these are just bits of lashes that I've chopped up, or like sectional ones that are meant for a normal person's upper lash. They make good bottom lashes. glued my eye shut. Nope. Love a lower lash.
Hot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just pop this wig on. So that's the whole face. Any questions?
Yeah.
When you finish like the sides, do you just
Yeah.
know where your wig is going to cover? And then
Yeah, I
that's
do,
it?
exactly. I mean, I could probably get away without doing it, but this way, like, just depending on what kind of wig you end up wearing, it just means, or if it slips at all. I've seen people glue this part too, like, straighten it down and then glue stick this, and then they've kind of got more forehead to work with. I think it looks also kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
I don't think I have any glue with me, so I won't glue it down, but
Such a beautiful wig.
I'll just give you a sense of how it all works together. Pretty good. And like even, you know, there were some bits when I was doing it, I was like, oh, that's kind of gone wrong, or that's not looking as great. But there's so much now that like you're not really looking at any one thing, you get a whole effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of setting spray, I love, again, Krylon, I think it's called Ultra HD. It's a blue can. It's so good. Like, again, I would not use it on someone if you were looking for a natural look, but like, I have sprayed my face with that and jumped in a pool, and my face was, the lashes came off, but everything else was still there. Oh no?
It just doesn't work for me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard. I've got to try.
I
Makes
find,
your face glow. It's stunning.
right, I find that I prefer an aerosol in drag to
drag,
like a
with drag
mist.
essence. When I used to do musical theatre, we used to spray on my faces with hairspray.
Yeah.
And dance.
Yeah.
We used to do it in dance as well.
That's
Yeah,
classic, isn't
I
it?
definitely-
That would feel
It was
awful.
horrible. I'd break out. It was awful.
Yeah, definitely hairspray is what you use in a pinch, like the yellow got to be glued.
Yeah. And
Right.
you smell it. It's not hairspray.
Yeah, yeah. But it definitely your face can crack. Like sometimes you just get like cracks in your face when you use that. But yeah,
Can I take
that's
a
the face.
photo?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
What glue do you normally use to glue your wig down?
Again, it's a Mastix, Krylon Mastix, like spirit gum.
Oh, yeah.
Do you pin it in to your wig cap?
So it's got some clips at the back, which I just hook on the wig cap, and then there's like 2 elastics at the back as well, which are just on the tightest that they can be.
The wig that is laid down flat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and
it's
then
crazy.
kind of a bit of glue here, and here, and that'll stay on pretty well. Like, I'm not a dancer really, so I'm not going upside down or anything. I don't know how it would handle that, but like stage stuff, it's not going to go anywhere. I used to do some aerial circus, and that required its
I was
own.
about to say.
Yeah, so that required its own wig situation. But
You don't do that anymore.
no, I had a hip replacement last year, so I think it's taken me out of it. Oh yeah, we're gonna do some photos. Okay. Thank you so much on the live, the couple of you that are here. I know I'm not sure how the connection has been, so I'm sorry if. Cool.
How many?